Coming up on this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
We'll discuss some of the big policy issues that'll be top of mind for beef producers here in 2023, plus details on how you can get money back for attending cattle industry educational events across the entire country.
And now, NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. I'm Russell Nemitz. Well, at the close of 2022, the Environmental Protection Agency, along with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, announced the finalization of a new definition for waters of the United States, or WOTUS. Here with more on what this means for cattle producers is Mary Thomas Hart in this week's Beltway Beef Spotlight.
2022 was a pretty quiet year on the WOTUS front, but that all changed on December 30th when the EPA and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers announced the finalization of the Biden administration's WOTUS definition. WOTUS stands for Waters of the U.S. and categorizes the water features across the United States that are subject to federal Clean Water Act permitting requirements. In the past, NCBA has looked for three specific features of any WOTUS definition. One, how are isolated features treated? Two, how are ephemeral features treated, or those features that really only carry water after a rain or snow event? And three, does the definition include vital agricultural exemptions to ensure that those features on operations are exempt from federal regulation? Out of the Biden rule, we got 1 out of 3. So the Biden administration's rule includes some really helpful exemptions for agricultural features, including some ditches, stock ponds, and prior converted cropland. However, the rule leaves open the possibility for the federal government to regulate both isolated features and ephemeral features. In finalizing their rule, the Biden administration attempted to find some middle ground between the 2015 Obama rule and the 2020 Trump administration's Navigable Waters Protection Rule. If you remember, in 2015, the Obama rule regulated all tributaries, including ephemeral features, all isolated features, and all interstate features. The Trump administration worked hard to pull back some of that federal jurisdiction and clearly excluded all ephemeral and isolated features. In attempting to find middle ground between the Trump and Obama rules, the Biden administration provided the federal government ability to conduct case-by-case determinations when it comes to ephemeral and isolated features. This means for landowners, including farmers and ranchers across the nation, that any of their features might be subject to federal jurisdiction, but it's unclear without a jurisdictional determination. While the Biden administration hoped to find something that would be satisfactory for farmers and ranchers, they in fact finalized a rule that will be much more resource, time, and cost intensive for landowners. NCBA and other national agricultural organizations across the nation have litigated the definition of WOTUS in the past, both fighting the 2015 Obama rule and defending the 2020 Trump rule. NCBA continues to assess whether it will litigate the final Biden administration's rule, but has engaged in other litigation efforts. In 2022, NCBA filed an amicus brief in the Supreme Court case Sackett versus EPA, which is the Supreme Court's fourth opportunity to directly consider the definition of WOTUS. This case is still pending and is likely to receive an opinion in about April 2023 or later this spring. If the Supreme Court's opinion in the Sackett case differs from the EPA regulatory definition, then we'll once again be at conflict over the definition of WOTUS, and EPA and the Army Corps of Engineers will have to go back to the drawing board. So in sum, there's a lot happening in the WOTUS world right now and a lot to come in 2023. To follow this and other important issues to the cattle industry, go to policy.ncba.org and don't forget to join NCBA today.
And that's why it's so important to support the work that's being done by NCBA to protect all of us in agriculture from this and other regulatory overreaches. To become a member, just call 1-866-233-3872 or visit the website ncba.org. Well, we just heard about the new WOTUS rule and the impact that can have. So what else can cattle producers do to help protect themselves? Joining us now is Colin Woodall, Chief Executive Officer of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. And Colin, first of all, can you please talk about NCBA's efforts over the years to fight WOTUS and why a strong membership base is so important?
When most people think about Waters of the United States or WOTUS, they think about the 2015 rule that was put in place by the Obama administration. But NCBA's engagement with WOTUS goes back to 2006 and some legislation that was introduced in Congress that first started this conversation. We were successful in shutting that legislation down, but it did serve as the basis for a lot of the components of the Obama WOTUS rule, which we are now seeing come back up with the Biden proposal and the changes that he has made. The reason why we need a strong base in Washington, D.C. and a strong base among our membership to fight WOTUS is because of the success we've had. As I mentioned, in 2006, we had legislation where we called our members to come to the forefront, engage in the action, call their members of Congress and tell them to shut that legislation down, and we did that. While, yes, the Obama administration was successful in getting their proposal brought forward, we were successful in beating it back and replacing it with something that was much more workable for those of us in agriculture. But here we are again, and once more, we're going to have to engage all NCBA members to come together to send a very clear message to Congress and the Biden administration that this new proposal, once again, is not workable for those of us in agriculture.
Are there some wins we had in 2022 that couldn't have been accomplished without NCBA having boots on the ground in Washington, D.C.?
You know, every single win that we had the past year was because we had boots on the ground in Washington, D.C. The world today has gotten very used to utilizing their cell phones, text, emails, virtual components of communication. But in Washington, D.C., that face-to-face interaction is still the way that town likes to operate. It's extremely important for us to be as effective as possible. It's amazing the number of issues that we have worked when you're walking on Capitol Hill and you just happen to run into a member of Congress or their staff. A quick 2 or 3 minute conversation can change the whole course of an issue. It's also important to remember that when you're up there every single day on Capitol Hill, going from office to office, you're building the relationships. And those relationships are always going to come in handy when it's time to call that member of Congress or their staff and ask them to vote one way or the other on a piece of legislation. If I were to call up a member of Congress and say, hey, Congressman, this is Colin Woodall, I'm with NCBA. NCBA is the oldest and largest national trade association representing cattle producers. We need you to vote yes on this or no on that. We're already done. We're toast, because you can't build that relationship quick enough to be able to get them to do something for you. What we need is the opportunity for me to pick up that phone call and say, hey, Congressman, it's Colin, need you to vote yes. And that's what NCBA is doing every single day up on Washington, D.C., building those relationships, making sure we know who to call, so that way we can call them, they can call us, and we can be the best advocate we can for our membership and our policy priorities.
Colin, as we look ahead, the Farm Bill will be an important topic for all of agriculture here in 2023. So how is NCBA involved in these discussions, and what's so important to have included in this legislation?
The current Farm Bill expires on September 30th of this year. So there's a lot of work to be done in a very short amount of time. And we know that both of the chairs, Chairman G.T. Thompson, the House Agriculture Committee, and Chairwoman Debbie Stabenow on the Senate Ag Committee, are committed to get this done and to put the effort in. This will be probably one of our top priorities for the year. It's probably the one piece of legislation that will get the most attention throughout 2023. And for us, it's about several significant priorities. One is maintaining the foot and mouth disease, or FMD, vaccine bank that we were successful in including in the last Farm Bill. But we also want to make sure we're protecting some of the very popular programs like EQIP, and also ensuring that we can find a way to increase the risk management opportunities for cow-calf producers by working to expand and make the risk management agencies' programs that much more productive for our cow-calf producers who need a way to manage risk. And we're going to continue to look at what we can do to protect funding for research. Research dollars that are spent at USDA and land-grant universities have been extremely successful in helping us, one, improve the industry and protect the industry by keeping us safe from foreign animal diseases. So we will be looking to make sure that those research dollars are not rated for other priorities. And we will be reaching out to all NCBA members to have them engage in listening sessions throughout the year, as we know that both the Senate and House Ag committees will go out in the countryside and have field hearings to hear what's on the mind of producers.
We're going to kick off another cattle industry convention and NCBA trade show in just a couple of weeks. What's the mood of cattle producers who will be attending in New Orleans this year?
And to determine the mood, I think we look back at all of the state cattlemen's associations meetings that have taken place here over the past several months. I've had the opportunity to attend several, and I've got a few more to go before we make our way to New Orleans. And one of the things that has struck me across the country is the amount of optimism that is out there as they look at what's going on in the cattle markets, prices that are going up, as we look at a shift from a La Nina weather pattern to an El Nino weather pattern to help with the drought, especially in the South Central Plains, where Kansas and Oklahoma in particular continue to just be battered by this drought. And with a lot of the snow and the rain that we have seen in other parts of the country, there is that sense of optimism. And I do believe that that will translate into the optimism that we will see at producers and during the convention in New Orleans.
And finally, Colin, folks may not realize just how important this meeting is to the future direction of the beef industry. So please tell us about the business that actually goes on during the week.
Well, CattleCon is known for the fun that we bring to convention. And whether it's the food, whether it's the entertainment, the speakers, the trade show, people come to have fun, to enjoy themselves, to see their neighbors, see people they haven't seen probably since the last CattleCon. But you're right, it is an opportunity for us to do the business of the association. NCBA is a grassroots organization. In order for us to truly live up to what we are, we have to have that engagement by our members to give us as staff our marching orders on Capitol Hill and throughout the association. And that's why the engagement in our policy committee meetings is so important, where we're going to discuss, debate, and vote on policy positions that will have an impact on where NCBA stands on things such as the Farm Bill, WOTUS, and other topics. The board of directors will then also have the opportunity to vote on it. It will become the interim policy that we will exercise or execute in Washington, D.C. until we have the time to revisit it during the summer business meeting. We'll also have the opportunity to have a Washington, D.C. forum where we'll talk about the new Congress and how we're going to stand with the new leadership in the House of Representatives, and how both the House and Senate will come together to work on things such as the Farm Bill, and give everybody just an overall understanding of the challenges that we face in Washington, D.C. I think in order to truly be able to go back and have an appreciation for the work that NCBA does, you have to hear about those challenges, but more importantly, what NCBA is doing to step up, to face those challenges and beat those challenges back. And that's a big part of CattleCon.
All right, thanks a lot, Colin. Now, there's still time to make plans to attend the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show. It runs from February 1st through February 3rd in New Orleans. And you can get all the details, including how to register, at the website convention.ncba.org. Still ahead here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we've got a look at a very fun place that you just may want to visit while you're in New Orleans for this year's Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show.
In this week's Weather Watch, we're watching out for the drought. Drought improves to the west, remains throughout the plains, and grows down to the south. This is due in part to a continued La Nina. La Nina's forecast is straight ahead too.
It is inevitable. Like the rising and setting of the sun, your gravel driveway will need maintenance. Drudgery? Never. Be the right person with the right tools doing the job the right way by watching How to Maintain a Gravel Drive Using a Box Blade with Hydraulic Scarifiers. Brought to you by tipsnotebook.com. When better how-to videos are made, we will make them.
Are you ready for a better shot at profitability with a more consistent, more efficient cow herd? Then don't miss out on the maternal edge offered by Gelbvieh and Balancer Genetics.
Stayability and longevity is really a strength of the Gelbvieh breed, and when these cows can remain in the herd 10 years or thereabouts, they return a lot of dollars to the producers.
Research shows Gelbvieh cows will stay in your herd longer with greater fertility and more pounds of calf weaned.
It's the ability of that cow not only to have that calf unassisted, but to own that calf, to stay right there with that calf, to do whatever's necessary to get that calf going no matter what. No breed we work with does a better job of owning that calf and making sure that she's going to take care of than the Gelbvieh breed.
For cow-calf producers, the maternal traits offered by Gelbvieh and Balancer Genetics are the smart, reliable, and profitable choice. Find out more at the website gelbvieh.org.
Each year the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA trade show really does provide a wide variety of one-of-a-kind experiences for cattle producers and their families. And as you venture outside the convention, you'll find that New Orleans is packed with historic sites, great food, and loads of family-friendly experiences. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Kate Maher shows off one of the highlights that the city has to offer.
From the French Quarter to boats rolling down the Mississippi River, New Orleans is a city filled with interesting sights and sounds. But just steps away from the convention center, you can get a whole new view of the Crescent City.
View Orleans is an indoor and outdoor observation deck and a fully interactive exhibit and attraction telling the wonderful story of the people, the costumes, the food, the music, the river, and everything that makes up the beautiful city of New Orleans. When you come in, you do an interactive and immersive experience using state-of-the-art technology, tells the stories of the people that created the history of it. You get to examine foods that New Orleans made famous, listen to music that New Orleans made famous too. The elevator ride is 1 minute up, 1 minute to go 34 floors. So you're moving pretty quick. Your ears do pop a little bit. We show on all three sides of the elevator. We show a show on the way up and a different show on the way down, taking you through a journey through time in the Mississippi River on the way up, and then a fantastic journey on the way down. It's a one-of-a-kind elevator ride.
The View Orleans exhibits are colorful, entertaining, and interactive, making a visit fun for kids and families.
We are very interactive, very high-tech and digital. It's funny, we see a lot of kids telling their parents how to work the attractions, and which is kind of funny to watch. One of my favorite ones is our river pilot table. You have an opportunity to pilot a cargo ship around Algiers Point, which is the toughest point in the Mississippi River to pilot around. You have an opportunity to try to pilot that ship and dock it at Governor's Wharf. You can sink it if you're not careful. One of our owners is a retired riverboat pilot and actually designed that attraction and that exhibit for us.
Along with the exhibits, the outdoor observation deck at View Orleans offers outstanding views of the city and the river. Open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m., View Orleans is a unique way for cattle producers and their families to see the city of New Orleans.
We're looking forward to welcoming the Cattlemen's Convention when they come to town. We are literally across the street from your host hotel. If you've never been here before, this is the place to have your first New Orleans experience. And if you have been to New Orleans, come see New Orleans from a new point of view, pun intended. You can get tickets online at vieworleans.com. or at our box office. But I highly recommend getting your tickets in advance because we are timed entry to manage the flow of guests. That way you don't have to wait a long time for that next entry time. Get your tickets in advance at viewOrleans.com.
I'm Kate Maher, reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
There will be some can't miss speakers as part of the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA trade show. For example, Taylor Sheridan, the co-creator of the hit television show Yellowstone, will be the keynote speaker at the opening general session on Wednesday. And in addition, there will be some other familiar faces from Yellowstone on hand during this year's convention, including real-life cowman Forey Smith, who plays Lloyd on the show. So don't miss out on all the fun. Register today. Again, you can get all the details at convention.ncba.org. Still ahead on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, we'll tell you about a great partnership that makes it easier for producers to attend educational events. That story when we return.
Grass is the center of our universe. We've got to have a grass program that we can count on and plan on. That's what we need to sustain us, to keep us growing, to keep us prospering.
Accurate information is essential to maximizing your profitability. That's why for decades, cattle producers have trusted NCBA's Integrated Resource Management Red Book to help them keep better records. The pocket-sized Red Book has more than 100 pages to help you keep track of valuable production information like herd health, pasture usage, and AI breeding and sales.
We really encourage all of our producers to use a tool like the Red Book. There's some great information in here to help you implement better management practices as well as tracking calving records and breeding records.
2023 Red Books are on sale now. You can even customize your Red Book with a company name or logo on orders of 100 or more. Go to ncba.org for all the details. This beef quality assurance tip is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
Hi, I'm Jesse Fulton. Today I want to talk to you about transportation. Each year, millions of cattle are transported across the United States. Whether it be a bumper pull trailer, a gooseneck trailer, or a cattle pot going down the roadway, these act as big billboards for the beef industry. So in order to ensure consumer confidence, we need to ensure our animals are fit for transport. When assessing fitness for transport of our cattle, we are looking at three things: the health status of the animal, to ensure that we are not causing any biosecurity issues, the mobility score of the animal, and the body condition score of the animal, to ensure these animals are able to withstand the rigors of transport. To find out more about transportation, the Beef Quality Assurance Program, or the Beef Quality Assurance Transportation Program, go to bqa.org.
The Beef Quality Assurance Program is funded by the Beef Checkoff.
Time now for Weather Watch, brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors and WSR Insurance.
Let's get into another Weather Watch. I'm meteorologist Matt Bakens. A few topics we're going to talk about today is the La Nina forecast. Where are we headed in terms of La Nina, neutral patterns, or El Nino throughout the course of the year ahead? Our drought situation, vast improvements over the next 3 months are expected. That forecast is straight ahead, as well as what are our water resources and river systems like? Where are we sitting reservoir level wise? Those kind of water details are straight ahead. First off with La Nina, this is a look into the future by 3 month segments. So here we have January, February, March. Here's March, April, and May. And what these bars symbolize is the likelihood of having La Nina in place, blue bar, a neutral condition, gray bar, or El Nino in place, a red bar. So March, April, May, right here, you see the dominating feature here is that gray bar, neutral conditions. Between now and then, La Nina fades out. What grows in place by the summer as we go April, May, June, May, June, July, August, we bring up the probability, the chance of bringing in El Nino. In fact, from the summer into next fall, El Nino has a higher probability of being in place versus a neutral pattern or La Nina. And of course, with El Nino, you know what that means for your areas, but in a lot of cases, that means milder conditions, and in a lot of cases, it means wetter conditions. Let's talk about recent wetness, especially across the western U.S. and that drought situation. That atmospheric river, as has been called in the media, so much moisture for the West. We're looking at a large area where we're going to see improvement in the drought. We may not see drought go away totally, but improvements nonetheless. Where we're going to see the drought persist are the brown areas from the Dakotas south through Texas. Where we will likely see drought develop is yellow areas, southern Colorado, New Mexico, and Texas. That's now through March, before that weather pattern changer, El Nino, begins to kick in. Where are we in terms of reservoir storage, the water resources? This is Lake Powell, first off. And this black bar, that's where we are this water year. Last year was a yellow bar just above it. To be normal would be way up here. So Lake Powell, and like that, Lake Mead, this current year, last year to be normal. Both those reservoirs very, very dry. For the Mississippi River Basin and the central Mississippi and what flows into that, but the Missouri River Basin. Here we are with 2023, very low on the scale. To be average would be right around here. So we need the water across the Central Plains and the Southwest. Need more of it to help our water situation. That's this week's Weather Watch. I'm Matt Makins.
Weather Watch is brought to you by Ag Risk Advisors, with you no matter the weather. And by WSR Insurance, providing insurance solutions for more than a century. Visit their websites for more details.
Producer education continues to be a top priority for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association, and the organization is always looking to give farmers and ranchers access to top-notch experts who can help improve the bottom line of any cattle business. Cattlemen to Cattlemen reporter Matt Fleck has a look at a special grant that's available to help make it easier for members of the beef industry to attend these very valuable educational events.
Shauna Bratton has deep roots in agriculture. Her family has been farming in this part of Virginia for more than 150 years.
Bratton Farms has been in existence actually since 1769. One of the Brattons from over in England, Robert Bratton, came over and settled here in 1769. So we have been actively farming that part of the property along with some others since then. Over the years, we've been fortunate enough to expand, and we have beef cattle and sheep on our operations. We do background our own calves during the winter months and then sell them in the spring.
The situation is different at Patriot Farms in North Carolina. Jason Lee Gordon and his wife are first-generation farmers and don't have nearly as much history with agriculture.
My wife and I are first-generation farmers. Basically, grew up in subdivisions, and we always wanted more. We wanted to do more with our lives. We decided to try and get into farming, and we love the land more than anything, and we realized that the cattle are a big part of it and creating a healthy ecosystem. So cattle are just a natural fit for what we want to do as land stewards.
Off to the west, in Texas, Sean Kerr just recently returned to ranching after several years away from agriculture.
I grew up on an alfalfa ranch farm and said I'd never do agriculture again. And then I walked by the TV one night and saw this advertisement for property in Lampasas, Texas. And I looked at my wife and I was like, don't even know where that's at, but I want to do this. So I got their information off the TV. I went and put it in, and we came out here and we purchased. I decided that my business model was going to be a direct-to-consumer type business model. We started by processing our first steer in October. He's not for sale. He's being used as our test market. And but come February, March, we'll start producing for sale. So that's our goal.
One thing these three families have in common is the desire to learn and grow by discovering new techniques to better manage their operations. They have all traveled to in-person educational events to gather practical advice from industry experts.
I think you learn better in person. You tend to retain it more than just grazing over it in a email or even a catalog. Listening to somebody about something that you're passionate to, it tends to stick a little better.
By meeting people from other areas of the country, you learn that they have many of the same challenges as what you do have on your own farm operation. It gives you a fresh perspective and helps you to see things from a different viewpoint. And with that viewpoint, you can come back and you can look at the changes that you need to make on your own farm.
Getting to meet people, getting to talk to people, getting to see how other people do what I want to do, which is to produce beef, was valuable to me.
Through a partnership with the National Cattlemen's Foundation and Cargill Protein, the National Cattlemen's Beef Association offers the Rancher Resilience Grant, which cattle producers can apply for to help offset some of the cost of attending educational events.
The Ranchers Resilience Grant covers registration and hotel costs for producers. It is a reimbursement process, so producers will need to register and pay for the event, but then we reimburse that registration cost and their hotel costs.
Our local extension agent told us about the Ranchers Resilience Grant and how it could help us to go to the class that we went to at the National Grazing Lands Conference. It really gave us the money that we needed to be able to step away from the farm and make that trip worthwhile.
With that grant, that helped with registration for the conference, the different conference fees, and allowed me to attend lots of different sessions on grazing management, and I could bring that knowledge back to Virginia.
If somebody says there's a grant out there, well, I apply, because at the end of the day, it's opportunity to learn, it's the opportunity to get ahead.
Local, state, and national events qualify for the Rancher Resilience Grant, and the application is easy to complete.
You apply through a short application. You need to complete the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef modules, and then you attend the event and you fill out a survey, submit a photo. It's pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy. However, we are always available to answer any questions you might have.
It was easy to apply for on the website. There were some education modules that you needed to complete, but those were valuable to me, and it was an easy process.
It didn't take long at all. I think it took me 20 minutes, 25 minutes to get the application completed. I found it to be a very easy application. Definitely recommend it to anybody who's needing educational opportunities.
So whether you're new to the beef business or been around for decades, the Rancher Resilience Grant can help you attend valuable programs and training sessions that can improve the profitability of your business.
It covers a wide array of industry events, such as breed association conventions, our NCBA events. You know, it's a really wide spectrum and a great opportunity, and we really hope to encourage producers to utilize the grant.
It's always hard to find time to get away from the farm, but with the Ranchers Resilience Grant, that gives you an opportunity to get off the farm, go view other parts of the country, learn more about ideas you can bring back to your own farm.
As a new farmer and being tight on cash, the Ranchers Resilience Grant was the big help for us. I would encourage anybody to use it on an event to actually learn something that could benefit them for the rest of their life.
I'm Matt Fleck, reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
For more information on how to apply for the Rancher Resilience Grant, just visit ncba.org and click on the Producers tab. And don't forget, there's a great opportunity for producer education and information from February 1st through the 3rd in New Orleans. The Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show really does have a lot of educational events, including Cattlemen's College, that can help set your business up for success. Get all the details, including how to register, at the website convention.ncba.org. Are you a student looking to be involved in the beef industry? When we come back, we've got a look at the value of becoming an NCBA intern. All the details right after this.
When you spot BRD in your cattle, That's your golden opportunity to target infection and its associated fever with a single dose of Resflor Gold, the industry standard dual therapy. To learn more, talk to your Merck Animal Health rep or your vet and see label at resflorgold.com. Animals intended for human consumption must not be slaughtered within 38 days of treatment. This product is not approved for use in female dairy cattle 20 months of age or older, including dry dairy cows.
Get jazzed as the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show returns to New Orleans February 1st through 3rd, 2023. Experience the oldest and largest convention for the beef cattle business and a trade show like you've never seen before. Get up close and personal with the latest techniques and equipment on display. Invest in yourself and the beef cattle industry's future. Learn, network, and relax in the Big Easy February 1st through 3rd, 2023. Registered today by visiting convention.ncba.org.
NCBA has always welcomed and encouraged future beef industry members to get involved with the cattle industry. Here's a look at the value of becoming an NCBA intern.
The policies that come out of Washington, D.C. can have a direct impact on the cattle business. That's why NCBA has a strong presence here, working on issues and policies to ensure they help and don't harm U.S. cattle producers. College students have the opportunity to be a part of that work through NCBA's Public Policy Internship program.
The work that NCBA does is so critical here in our nation's capital, and interns get to play a really pivotal role in that. Our internship is unlike anything else here in DC. You get to have so much hands-on policy experience, far above any other internship around these parts. You get to be so hands-on with our lobby teams who are the experts in their field. You get to walk alongside them in issues of the day that matter, that are very present and pressing. Our interns get to be right in the mix of it all, not on the side watching from the sidelines, but really in the mix of what is happening here in DC.
NCBA's public policy interns spend a full semester working in the office, getting to Capitol Hill and making a real contribution to the daily work of the NCBA team. Along the way, they're gaining experience that will help them now and in the future.
I think that one of the coolest parts of our internship is that not only are you learning the hard skills of this is how a certain process works, or this is what the legislative system looks like from the inside out, but you're learning soft skills, how to talk to people, how to truly be an advocate for the industry in different settings. A setting as different as Washington, D.C. And so you can go back home and be the advocate for the beef industry that is knowledgeable, informed, and really up to date with the issues going on here in the Capitol.
Whether a young person plans to go back to a family cattle or farming operation or choose another career, the Washington, D.C. internship experience at NCBA is valuable, and any student with an interest in agriculture and public policy should consider applying.
So to qualify to apply for our internship, you'll need to be either a sophomore or junior in college with a 3.0 GPA or higher, interested with experience preferably in agriculture. Looking and searching for more hands-on experience, looking at ag policy, things of that matter, with a bright-eyed smile and a lot of motivation. For potential interns, if you want to learn more, you can find more details on ncba.org with all of the information outlined on the site.
In Washington, D.C., I'm Brian Baxter reporting for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
Applications for the 2023 fall semester NCBA Public Policy Internship are now being taken. If you'd like to apply, visit ncba.org and click on the Careers tab to find links to opportunities for students. Still to come, we'll show you an operation in South Dakota that's leaving the land in better shape for future generations. We'll be right back.
That certain time in the day when you can take a deep breath, knowing your work is done. That's the feeling Aspen products can create. Cost-effective alternatives to name brands that deliver the same results. Qualaxin is one of them. Use it to prevent and treat respiratory disease in your herd. Then breathe easy. Find them at Animal Health International.
Get jazzed as the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show returns to New Orleans' Ernest N. Morial Convention Center February 1st through 3rd, 2023. Experience the oldest and largest convention for the beef cattle business and a trade show like you've never seen before.
It's ginormous. The amount of booths in the trade show is unbelievable. It's so amazing to speak with folks about implementing new technologies on our ranch.
Get up close and personal with the latest techniques and equipment on display. Witness exciting action in the stockmanship and stewardship demonstration arena.
It's the go-to event in the industry. The educational opportunities, the ability to see new products, hands-on access for product comparisons, and networking with cattlemen from all across the country.
Invest in yourself and the beef cattle industry's future. Learn, network, and relax on a well-deserved vacation to the Big Easy, February 1st through 3rd, 2023. Get registered today by visiting convention.ncba.org.
Well, over the past several weeks or so, we've brought you some great stories of cattle producers and their outstanding conservation efforts as we highlight the 2021 winners of the Environmental Stewardship Award. Let's now introduce you to the Region 7 winner out of South Dakota.
It's early morning in western South Dakota, and the Blair family is saddling horses. They're getting ready to move their cows and calves on the ranch that's been in the family for nearly 70 years.
So this ranch was established in 1954 whenever my dad moved here. And then now we've got my son Britton and his son Chad involved. It's very much a family operation.
Being on horseback, moving cattle out there with the grandkids and the grandnephews, that's what it's all about for me. Being able to pass that on to the next generation.
We're very excited to see the next generation, the 5th generation coming into the fold. They're young grandkids and grandnephews, but they work right beside their dad and mom on the ranch. They ride horses and they work cattle in the working facilities. It does this grandma's heart good to see that happening.
Today, the Blair family runs a cow-calf stocker and feedlot operation on 2 separate ranch locations.
We bought Two Top in 2014. The nice fit for us on this ranch is it's just kind of strictly a cow operation. And the grassland's really good here. The calves wean off of this ranch heavier than any place we've ever ran cattle.
Two Top Ranch has been a great addition to our operation because it's allowed us to grow and it's allowed us to bring Britton and Chad back into the ranch and run the size and scale of an operation that you need to be in order to stay sustainable and stay in business these days.
Altogether, they manage about 40,000 acres of rangeland. For the Blairs, rotational grazing has been key to maximizing production.
Grass was meant to be grazed, and cattle are the tool that we use to do that with. And the cattle have really improved the environment out here.
On this ranch especially, we've done a lot of cross fencing. It started with small pastures. We'll rotate cows every 2 to 3 days in the spring. It's like mowing your lawn. You go in and you clip it off, not short, but just half of what's there. And then as it rains, it'll grow back really fast. So we feel like we get like a month of free grazing by just rotating those pastures really fast, clipping them off and getting off of them. Through rotational grazing and rest periods and stewardship and adding water, it allows us to run more cows on the land that we already own while helping the environment and increasing stocking rate.
The Blairs know another key to a successful grazing system is giving their cattle access to water. They've installed miles of pipeline and dozens of water troughs on both their ranches to improve grazing distribution.
What Ed and I have focused an awful lot on is developing water on the ranch. And the main reason to get the water was so that we could have grazing distribution and get the cattle scattered and graze a pasture evenly.
So if you can spread out your water, you spread out your grazing. We're never done with it. Man, you think we got lots of tanks and lots of cross fencing and that, but there's always another project that you could fulfill to help utilize what you have better.
The Blairs have learned that their projects and stewardship efforts pay off in improved grasslands, better wildlife habitat, and a stronger, more resilient cattle operation.
I believe that the cattle make a healthy environment. A well-managed cattle operation, you're sequestering carbon into the soil. And the cattle, through the good grazing management, will sequester more carbon into the soil than non-grazed operations.
You know, we're always out monitoring the environment, and we want to graze cattle, but we also want the wildlife to thrive with what we're doing. And those of us in ranching really work hard at improving the environment every day.
The Blair family has done a great job in taking care of this place, and they manage it in a way that it benefits not just them, but also the natural resources, whether it's wildlife or the grazing resources. So they just do whatever's necessary to be beneficial long term and improve the sustainability of their ranch.
A clear conservation ethic is present on this operation. The guys are always trying new things, recognizing that rest and recovery are part of building resilience on a ranch, on the grazing land side of things, and just finding ways to be more efficient, both with their time and resources.
At Blair Brothers Angus, they've made conservation a family tradition, and they're committed to creating a sustainable cattle business for the 5th generation and beyond.
The cattle operation that we run, in my mind, is very economically positive, very sustainable.
We always try to make things better on the land because it's the right thing to do, and also we want to be here for generations.
It's a generational thing. To have the appreciation, and the understanding of what you can do out here managing this resource.
If we can benefit the land and the wildlife and the livestock, and ultimately we're in business to make money, and I think by doing what we're doing, you can. It is beneficial for everything.
To learn more about the Environmental Stewardship Award program and to even see videos of all the past regional and national winners, just visit the website environmentalstewardship.org. Also, 7 more Regional Stewardship Award winners will be announced at the Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show, this year again headed for New Orleans. You can get details on how to attend this important event at the website convention.ncba.org.
At Merck Animal Health, we wake up each day seeking new innovations to keep your herd healthy. This is why we're proud to now include Allflex Livestock Intelligence in our portfolio of solutions. With Allflex, we can provide the tools to identify, monitor, and trace each animal within a herd. Its state-of-the-art offerings deliver real-time insights to help you optimize productivity. Merck Animal Health and Allflex Livestock Intelligence. For our animals, our industry, and our future.
Cattle producers across the country work hard to care for their animals and their land. The USDA's Natural Resources Conservation Service is there to help. Find out how you can work with NRCS to develop a conservation plan for your operation. Find possible funding resources for implementing conservation practices, or get free expert advice on ways to improve your farm or ranch. Visit the website nrcs.usda.gov today. Accurate information is essential to maximizing your profitability. That's why for decades, cattle producers have trusted NCBA's Integrated Resource Management Red Book to help them keep better records. The pocket-sized Red Book has more than 100 pages to help you keep track of valuable production information like herd health, pasture usage, and AI breeding and sales.
We really encourage all of our producers to use a tool like the Red Book. There's some great information in here to help you implement better management practices, as well as tracking calving records and breeding records.
2023 Red Books are on sale now. You can even customize your Red Book with a company name or logo on orders of 100 or more. Go to ncba.org for all the details.
Well, we're wrapping up this week's show with some legacy photos. These, of course, are great shots submitted by our viewers of daily life on the farm or ranch. So let's take a look. we'd like to feature your photos here on Cattlemen to Cattlemen, and you can submit them a couple of different ways. Either message them to us on the Cattlemen to Cattlemen Facebook page or email them to c2c@beef.org. Send them our way, and we just may use them on a future episode. And don't forget, you still have time to plan a break from winter and make it to New Orleans to be part of the amazing, educational, and fun we've talked about earlier on the show. The Cattle Industry Convention and NCBA Trade Show is the place to be February 1st through the 3rd. You can register and even get your housing by visiting the website convention.ncba.org. Well, that's going to do it for this week's edition of NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen. Thank you so much for spending time with us, and we'll see you again next week right here on RFD TV.